16 WAPT News Live at 5 starts now.
Live at 5, a stunned neighborhood following what police are calling a murder-suicide involving a paralyzed man.
He was crawling on the floor, and he didn't set off the sensors. So he was a very smart person.
Plus a crafty thief who went to great lengths to steal from a dollar store.
The wall makes the catch!
And a huge game for the Mississippi State Diamond Dogs in a few hours in the College World Series.
Now, your weather first.
On live Storm Shadow 16 Doppler radar, there's been storms to our north and east, and that continues to be the case. There's some storms up towards Memphis, over towards Birmingham. Right now, quiet in our area. We still could see a storm or two pop up this evening, and I'm also watching a tropical depression near Belize. I'll have an update on where that is headed coming up.
Thank you, David. New at 5, Jackson police are investigating what they call a murder-suicide. I'm Stephanie Maxwell.
And I'm Darren Dito. It happened at a home on Redwood Circle just off of Raymond Road back on Sunday night. 16 WAPT's Tammy Eswick is live at 5. She's alongside. And Tammy, the victim was confined to a wheelchair.
That's right. He was a paraplegic. And tonight, Jackson police tell us that this was a murder-suicide. We have video from today when we arrived at that home Monday. Family members taking furniture out of the home, but they say they were too distraught to talk to us. Investigators say Pam Williams pulled the trigger that killed her paraplegic husband at their Redwood Circle home Sunday night. The Hinds County coroner says both were found with gunshot wounds to the head. Neighbors were in disbelief Monday.
It's just normal people. We had no idea. I think that's why everyone's so shocked about the situation.
I just don't want to believe it because I can't see her doing it.
Neighbors say the couple had lived in the home for over 20 years. Tonight, Jackson police are still looking into exactly why this happened.
All right, Tammy, thanks for the update. Appreciate it. Well, new charges tonight against a woman accused of giving a deadly butt injection here in Jackson. Tracy Lynn Garner has been charged with depraved heart murder for the death of Marilyn Hale of Selma, Alabama. It happened back in January of 2010. The state's attorney general says Garner injected a counterfeit silicone substance in Hale's buttocks, which led to her death. Now, Garner is already charged with depraved heart murder for the butt injection death of Karima Gordon of Atlanta. Jackson police say one of its officers shot a teenager because he refused to put up his hands. It happened in the city's Presidential Hills neighborhood this morning. 16 WAPT's Ben Bowman shows us this may not have been the first incident between the officer and that teen.
The police shot my homeboy.
Here in the Presidential Hills neighborhood, the teen's friends called the officer over this afternoon when police say the young man began acting suspiciously. Witnesses, however, tell a different story.
You can't stand at the corner and chill no more.
The guy was on the corner, the police pulled up. They told him to put his hands up. He had his earphones and his iPod in. He put it in his pocket and they shot him.
I get the police thought he had and he shot.
Where'd the guy get shot?
Shot him in the shoulder.
Police say the teenager failed to follow the officer's order to take his hands out of his pockets.
I was in the house at first, and then I heard a gunshot.
The officer fired one shot from his car. Witnesses say this isn't the first shooting between the officer and the teenager.
The second time, the first time they shot him a couple months ago.
Witnesses say they attempted to tell the officer about another officer who had allegedly harassed them. JPD placed the officer involved in the shooting on leave with pay while they continue to investigate the incident. In Jackson, Ben Bowman, 16 WAPT News.
Tonight, Jackson police are looking for the burglar that ripped through a wall to break into a Jackson dollar store. Take a look. It was all caught on surveillance camera. You can see that guy right there on the floor crawling around. Surveillance video shows the thief breaking into the store on Hanging Moss Road. Now, this is new tonight at 5. 16 WAPT's Andrew Kinsey explains how he made off with hundreds of dollars in merchandise.
A sign outside of this Family Dollar store tells the story.
So it's very sad, and it makes people like myself or even others, feel very unsafe.
Police say a burglar decided to break into the store through this metal wall.
That is a hole that is coming from the outside of the store.
They say instead of using the front door, the early morning thief created his own entrance.
This is how investigators say the thief was able to make his way into the store. They say somehow he had enough time to pull these screws out of the metal siding, which allowed him to crawl right in.
He was crawling on the floor, and it didn't set off the sensors. So he was a very smart person.
In the surveillance video, you can see the man inside the store wearing an orange shirt with a black rag covering his face.
As you can see, he's going to the cigarette case.
Employees say the man knew exactly what he wanted, expensive items. Police say he was in and out in under 6 minutes.
How much worth of stuff do you think he was able to get away with?
I really believe that it was over, from what the police and I calculated, it was over $300.
2 months ago, store workers say someone robbed the store at gunpoint. Now this latest incident has them on edge again.
It's not a very good feeling at all.
In Jackson, Andrew Kinsey, 16 WAPT News.
Now, employees think that the thief may have cased the store before breaking in. If you have information to help police track down the burglar, call Crime Stoppers at 601-355-TIPS. And Stephanie, there's yet another big sinkhole here in Jackson.
Darren City crews are working to repair a broken water line. This busted pipe caused a massive sinkhole to open up on Woodmont Drive right near Lawrence Road. Neighbors say the line broke sometime before 6 a.m. No word what caused the pipe to break, and no injuries were reported from that sinkhole. Jackson investigators are working to determine what sparked an early morning house fire on the same street. The flames started inside this home at 2 a.m. Firefighters think the fire started in a bedroom. No one was injured. It's unclear if that home was occupied. Hinds County Supervisor Kenny Stokes says the renovations at Pod C at the Hinds County Detention Center are on schedule. Pod C was destroyed during a riot last summer. That pod suffered heavy electrical damage and extensive flooding. Stokes says after the Pod C renovations, though, Pods A and B will need some work.
That once Pod C is complete, then Pods A and B must either be renovated or some work done to those pods. Otherwise, it's been stated that the same things happen in Pod C can happen in Pods A and B.
The cost of the project will be between $3 and $4 million. A Raymond man is facing DUI charges in the death of a toddler, Darren.
Yeah, Stephanie, that deadly crash happened back on Saturday. Troopers say a Ford F-250 truck that was driven by 30-year-old Brent Prince collided with a Ford Expedition on Highway 18 and Spring Ridge Road. 1-year-old Christopher Salas died in the crash. Several other family members were injured. They include 5-year-old Ashley Salas, 4-year-old Pamela Salas, 2-year-old Adrian Salas, and 21-year-old Maria Rojos. Well, Stephanie, a pretty big scare happened in the air today.
Yeah, get this. A passenger on a United Airlines flight from Hong Kong to Newark, New Jersey was taken to the hospital after claiming fellow travelers had been poisoned. The flight landed safely as scheduled in Newark, and the FBI says the passenger was taken off the plane and taken to the hospital. You can see right there the officers escorting that passenger off the plane. The FBI said no charges have been filed, and the CDC cleared the plane. Agents are still looking into that poisoning claim. A man the Guardian newspaper identified as NSA leaker Edward Snowden answered questions in a live web chat today on the newspaper's website. 16 WAPT's Sally Kidd is in Washington with what he said and another country's spying operation.
Stephanie, the live web chat comes as new details surface in The Guardian about an alleged British spying operation. A person the Guardian newspaper identified as Edward Snowden took questions in a live web chat, defending his actions and writing, quote, "The U.S. government is not going to be able to cover this up by jailing or murdering me. Truth is coming and it cannot be stopped."
I'm delighted to welcome world leaders here to Northern Ireland.
Snowden's newest revelation comes as the G8 summit gets underway in Northern Ireland. The Guardian cites internal government documents provided by Snowden showing British spies had tapped the phones of foreign diplomats and hacked into their email accounts during past international conferences in the UK. British Prime Minister David Cameron wouldn't comment on the claim.
It's embarrassing to the United States.
Some defense analysts say Snowden's revelations are more embarrassing than damaging.
Most people in the United States knew that we were listening for terrorist conversations, and most people in the United Kingdom probably suspected that their government taps into diplomats who are visiting the country.
The person identified as Snowden also claimed he had no contact with the Chinese government, and Chinese officials say Snowden is not spying for them.
It's completely groundless. We believe that the U.S. side should pay attention to the concern and the demands of the international community and the public over the issue, and give the international community a necessary explanation.
We haven't been able to independently confirm that the person answering the questions in that web chat was in fact Edward Snowden. In Washington, Sally Kidd, 16 WAPT News. Stephanie.
Sally, thank you so much. The NSA's director says the two NSA programs have disrupted terrorist plots by collecting metadata on phone calls and tracking internet activity. Also tonight, and as you heard, President Obama is in Ireland tonight for a two-day global summit that's focusing on everything from the economy to the conflict in Syria. The president started with a breakfast in Belfast, Ireland, where he talked to young people, and then he attended talks about new trade with the European Union. The big talking point, though, was his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Syria.
With respect to Syria, we do have differing perspectives on the problem, but we share an interest in reducing the violence.
Our opinions do not coincide, but all of us have the intention to stop the violence in Syria.
In an interview with a German newspaper, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad said Europe will pay a price if it sends weapons to the rebels. He also contested U.S. claims that his government used chemical weapons. Part of New Mexico experienced some interesting weather Sunday. There were fewer storms than the previous 2 days, but Metro Albuquerque experienced a haboob or a dust cloud. The wind gusted to nearly 40 miles per hour there and covered the city in a blanket of dust. David is back. Welcome back to you, and you're actually seeing something in the tropics right now.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be back after 2 weeks. Had a great Alaskan trip. Everybody needs to do that. Beautiful up there. A tropical depression just off the coast of Belize is moving ashore now, and you can see here on this other shot just a cluster of thunderstorms near the center moving onshore. This storm is not a threat to us. Could move across the extreme southern Gulf in a couple days, but again, no threat to us. What is a threat to us is some afternoon summer thunderstorms. Find out about this evening and the next couple days coming up.
Jihad joke, what police believe is a prank and why some neighbors are not laughing.
Take us back to education.
And a baffled beauty queen, the question that stumped a Miss USA contestant, and it's gone viral. You're watching 16 WAPT Live at 5.
16 WAPT News Emmy Award winner for the best newscast in the Southeast region for 2 years in a row. And the Associated Press winner for best newscast, weathercast, and sportscast. 16 WAPT News is the one to watch.